Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we're going to be looking at Thunder Warrior SX-01. Now I'm pretty sure this is just a transformable Threezero Blitzwing from the Bumblebee movie. So what we're going to do is we're going to unbox this thing and have a look at it. But first of all, let's take a look at the packaging, and you can see it's a bit dented and buggered because it actually came through that way from the post. I don't know, they must be like stuffing airplanes and shipping containers full of stuff at the moment just to get things over, because they've just lifted the shipping ban to the UK. So now everything is just getting forced in. So don't be surprised if any packages you order from overseas turn up really battered. But as you can see, it's got a nice picture illustration of Blitzwing from Transformers on the front. It says here Thunder Warrior SX-01. It does specify that specifications, colours and contents may vary from illustrations. I don't know why it's got that on there. I hope it looks like that, because if it doesn't, we're all in trouble. But then you've got die-cast metal transformation, and it's got ages 16 plus there, and a warning: contains small parts, don't give to children. To be honest, I wouldn't give this to a kid anyway. It's probably quite fragile. You don't want them snapping bits off plastic and sticking it down their little wee throats. In the background behind here, we can see that there is, I think it's a sort of Megatron illustration there, but it's really faint. Maybe, no, I think it is Blitzwing. It's a bit faint though, so yeah, it's barely noticeable. There's nothing up the top, there's nothing on the sides, same on the back. It's a very generic, very simple box. Okay, let's open this up and see what we get inside. Okay, let's turn it around, pop it open. Looks like we get a little clear clamshell inside. Oh, it's quite a big old box, isn't it? There we go. Inside we can see that it's got the figure. There's not much. There seems to be some sort of small accessory there, another accessory there, and not much else. And something that just fell out of the box is the instructions, and we can see that, oh my god, there's quite a few steps you've got to take to transform this thing, because it turns from Blitzwing the Transformer into Blitzwing the airplane. So it'll be very interesting to see. I'm not looking forward to that bit, if I'm honest, and I probably won't film it because it's going to take me forever. Now this is supposedly supposed to be very, very similar to the Threezero Blitzwing, which is why I got it, because I've got the Threezero Optimus Prime and the Threezero Bumblebee, and I missed out on the Blitzwing. I just didn't have the cash at the time. So this guy would be a very nice replacement if he scales well with those. But not only that, because he's transformable, he'll be a little bit of an upgrade in certain respects, maybe some downgrades in others. But anyway, let's take him out of the pack and have a look. Okay, here he is straight out of the box, and we can see that he is in actual fact, well, very much like Blitzwing from the Bumblebee movie. Overall, it's very similar to the Threezero figure, but you can see there are some differences. I think the thighs are a lot skinnier, and that's because a lot of these parts are transformable and you've got to move things around, and this infrastructure on the inside needs to be thin in order to be able to get the rest of the airplane parts to transform around that metal frame. Feeling it, there are die-cast pieces in there, mostly in the feet and the legs. I can feel that it's mostly, yeah, it's mostly in the basic inner sort of endoskeleton around the figure, and everything else is plastic, which is fine by me because it would weigh way too much if everything was die-cast. You wouldn't be able to glue it all together properly. It'd probably be an absolute pain. Get your fingers caught in between two bits of metal, you feel it. So I don't mind that there is a lot of plastic on the outside. However, I will give them a compliment straight off the bat. The weathering is really good on this thing. Considering the price of it, it is half the price of the Threezero Blitzwing. This is weathered very nicely. Even around the wings, we can see here, there is dirt all up in the corners here. It's filthy all the way around the missiles. The forearm has got dirt and grime and soot all the way around it. Look in the inner arm there. Very, very nice. I actually like that. But one of the things I noticed straight away when I was trying to stand this guy up, you've got to do a lot of work with these ankles because they are a little bit fiddly. But once you get them in the right place, I think he'll stand up absolutely fine. You've just got to get that balance right. However, because there are so many moving parts in this guy, you've got to take your time with him and think before you start moving bits, because every time you move one thing, you'll be moving other things as well, just because your hand's getting in the way. So you have to be careful with this, and yeah, think about what you're going to do before you do it, because the last thing you want to do is be able to turn this foot here and end up snapping off one of these bits of fairing on the outside. Now he does come with a couple of accessories. He comes with this long laser gun with missiles either side, and it is filthy, very nicely weathered. Looks very cool. You can transform that. I'm not sure how you do that. I'll have a look in a little while, but it looks like there's a ball joint inside here. So what you're going to do is you're probably going to have to pop off one of these arms and slot this on instead. So again, this is going to be one of those figures that you're going to want to take your time with, because I guarantee you, if you're not careful and you're a bit ham-fisted, you're probably going to snap bits. Also, it is unlicensed, so at the end of the day, you know, the quality assurance probably isn't going to be there as much as, say, a licensed one where, you know, you have bosses to answer to. But you can see he's got this sort of spike piece here as well. Again, another one that you probably swap out, probably pop one of these hands off and pop this in instead. Looks very nice, very well sculpted. I have a funny feeling that if this came with the Threezero one, then they've probably just, you know, remolded it or used the molds from the Threezero version, most likely. One of the things I do like about this figure is all of these little sort of transfers that they've put on the outside to make it look like a real plane. There's loads of them, and they really do work to add to that realism a little bit. And you can see some of the little details just inside the rib cage area here. You can see all of those pistons and bits all dirtied and muddied up. And you can see these wings are on a ball joint here. And one of the problems I have noticed is I don't think there is any head articulation left and right. I don't think that moves at all. I've tried. All I feel like is I'm going to break it. But I just touched something there. Oh, didn't even know that. It lights up. Hey, just discovered that straight away. There's a little button on the back here. Press that in, and his eyes light up. Ooh, that's very cool. So now he looks even more real. And just messing around with this guy just now, I can see that there is a very loose joint inside here. Pulling it forward and back is fine, but lifting it up, it just drops straight away. So I don't know if that's something I can tighten up and work with. But yeah, like I said, the QC is not going to be as good as with an official Threezero figure. So yeah, a little bit disappointing. Let's be honest, no one likes a loose one, do they? And one of the pros and cons of the figure is that there's so many moving parts inside this arm area. There's a ratcheted joint in here for the shoulder, but there's also 2 or 3 different moving parts in here. So when you're actually moving it around, you can pop things out and it can loosen up the figure even more. So while that is permanently loose from the looks of it, I don't think there's anything I can do. You can actually get the ratcheted arm up on its own. But then there is parts in here that can loosen, and then they can pop out, and then you're in trouble, because then you've got to try and pop them back in again. So you like I said, every time you move one thing, another thing can be undone or moved. So you've got to be careful when you're posing this guy, which would explain why they're saying this isn't for kids. And one of the cool little thing about here is that all the fingers are posable. You can bend them all in and pose them as you like. I'm not sure if the Threezero version did that, or whether it was simply hand swapping out like the other Threezero figures. But yeah, I do like the fact that you can articulate the fingers. This does add a level of realism to it, and you can pose them exactly how you want. Okay, with torso posing, there is a joint just down inside here, and he can turn left and right, but there isn't much up or down, if any. And the upper torso area is just so full of stuff, I don't think you can move that at all. So yeah, this is a bit of a shame that you can't move the head left and right, because that would have been nice to be able to counterbalance some of that lack of articulation in the upper body. The legs do have a ratchet joint just in here, so the legs can go out really far. There is a thigh swivel, but actually I don't know if there is. Looks like there is. Looks like there's a thigh joint in there, but it's not turning very much. Everything else seems to be turning before it does. Might have to have a look at that. There is a double bend in the knee there. There is a buttload of foot articulation, because there is a joint at the back there. It can go left and right quite a lot. There's a hell of a lot of pivot, and then forward and back as you see fit, simply because it needs to transform. question is now, do I dare to transform this thing? That is the question. Ah, heck, let's give it a go, eh? Sadly, I won't be able to do it on camera simply because I have to try and sit comfortably while doing this, because it's going to take a very long time, and you can't do that when you're sort of reaching around a camera with a tripod and everything, trying to get everything fixed. I'll probably end up breaking the whole damn thing. So yeah, I'm just going to do this off camera and we'll have a look at it once it's transformed. Oh my god, seriously guys. I'm just going to talk to the die-hard transformer guys out there. We're talking like the people who collect all the MPMs and all that type of stuff. Are you like sadists or something? Because seriously, my god, the work that's going into this just to try and get these arms turned and flaps moved and bits and bobs going. I've actually forgotten where I was with this, and I'm following the instructions because there's no like written words or anything. It's only photographs with weird little arrows everywhere. It's becoming quite a pain in the butt to try and get this guy transformed. Anyway, I will attempt to endeavour to keep going and see if I can't get this guy transformed, but I promise you I don't think I'll be transforming this guy in the future. Anyway, back on with it. Right, well, what should have taken about 2, maybe 3 hours quickly escalated into 7 hours and then 2.5 days. I've been busting my butt trying to get this thing transformed and I keep getting it wrong. Look, I can't even, the wings won't even connect properly because I think I've got the arms in right, I think. I'm not 100% certain. I've tried every which way but loose to try and get these arms fitted in properly, and I thought they were in, but then the damn thing wouldn't close properly. All these bits will not seal up properly, meaning there's something like these are so touchy that even something just a fraction out of place, a fraction, not even a millimeter, a fraction of a millimeter, means that this thing will not close up properly and it won't transform. And I've given up. I've given up, I'll be honest with you. I've given up. I've failed miserably to transform this Blitzwing. Never mind. But anyway, you can close it up as much as possible. And from what I can see of the plane, it does look like it, close that up, push that forward. It does look like it'd be really cool as a jet fighter, I guess, once it's fully made up. But if I turn it this way, yeah, I've given up. No, I can't do it. Not going to do it. This guy's supposed to be transformed in with my Optimus Prime and my Bumblebee anyway. So I've got to give up. This instruction booklet is trash. Absolutely trash. At one point they're showing you how to do it and put the arms back and everything like that. But then sort of at one point it looks like you have to go back and undo all the stuff you just did if you follow the arrows on this. So it's literally telling you to put all the things together and then undo it, and I don't know. This is by Mechanical Alliance, and I think this was an original design by Zeta Toys, and this was their first design. They didn't like it, so they sold it to Mechanical Alliance, and Mechanical Alliance made this Blitzwing. And that's why it's probably a bit more frustrating. Get the Zeta Toys one, it might be a little bit easier. But for now, I've got to give up. I'm washing my hands with it. I'm not a Transformers guy per se, but that's the best I can do. But you can still see it's nice, I guess. It's like, again, the weathering as well. I'm getting all of the black wash on my hands. There's loads of it, and it's coming off in my hands. So whatever they've done, it's not permanent, and you have to be careful with these. So handling it probably isn't the best thing to do because you're literally rubbing off all the weathering. So yeah, that's another epic fail for me. Again, I'm marveled by the design and the engineering that goes into these things. I mean, absolutely, like there's some smart cookies that make these things. They go from robots to jump jets and everything like that, and they're so complicated and so intricate that I genuinely think that the people who made these are not only sort of scientific sort of engineering geniuses, but they're also absolute sadistic, masochistic nut jobs, because if you can't get this right, it will drive you nuts and you start to go a little bit insane, as I have over the last 2.5 days, and I can't do it anymore. Never mind. Anyway, let's get on, and I'm going to just retransform this guy and I'll give you my final opinion, although you technically already heard my final opinion. So let's do it. Let's switch this guy back and see what we can do. Oh, gonna have to stick with the Threezero stuff, I think. At least transforming him into robot mode isn't as hard as airplane mode, and I have to say that's the last time I'm ever going to try and transform that thing. So is he worth picking up? Well, yes and no. He's half the price of the Threezero Blitzwing, so I have to say he's a pretty nice figure for the price. However, it is very temperamental. You will have to take a long time to transform him. You will have to take your time, watch a buttload of YouTube videos, not this one, because I'm not even going to start with trying to transform this guy for you, because I couldn't even get it completely closed up anyway into his airplane form. But I don't know many people who would only show their transformers transformed into their vehicle counterparts. Most people will display this guy as he is now, as a robot with lots of different parts to suggest that he can transform into an airplane. I'll try and show you, but yeah, you can see on my fingertips here, yet they're black because all the black wash is still rubbing off on this guy. So I won't be messing about with him too often because I don't want to take too much of the wash off. It is a shame that they weren't able to add some sort of special clear coat to it to protect that weathered layer, but as it is, like I said, it's half the price of the Threezero Blitzwing. He looks the part. He's a little bit skinny in places, namely in the thighs here. If you look at the Threezero, he's a lot more sturdy and a lot more chunky, but he will fit in to your shelf pretty nicely. One thing I have to say, I didn't realise, but this face mask that he comes with is actually on his face when he's actually transformed, and you can pop that off and he's got a slightly more humanistic face underneath. But I will be putting this back on just because it looks really menacing and pretty badass. This spike thing, again, this does feel very plasticky. It's very toy-like, and there is a slight, I'd say, lack of detail in it. It still looks nice, but there is a minor, you know, loss of detail from, say, the Threezero version. That's just the hand I took off to pose with this arm gun, which really fits on there really nicely, and it's almost seamless with the forearm here. It looks like it was always a part of him, and I think I'm going to keep that on him just because it looks so good. Display purposes, he looks great. Practical transforming purposes, it is very fiddly and I won't be doing it. Probably you go with the Zeta Toys one. Otherwise, you get this guy cheap in a sale, I'd say go with this instead. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. If you do me a favour now, if you can get the fuck out of my cave, I'm going to put this guy on the shelf next to Optimus and Bumblebee, and I'm never ever going to touch it again. I really don't need that sort of grief in my life. Take care guys, bye bye.